Today, I'm gonna compare the brand spanking new Nike Phantom Vision DF Elite with the boot it replaces, the Nike Magista Obra 2 DF Elite. Of course, to try and see which boot is the better one, but also to try and, of course, compare them a bit and look at the differences between the two boots to try and help you guys figure out if you should make the switch from the Magistas to the Phantom Visions. In other words, let the boot battle begin. Let's start off by looking at the fit, which is probably the area where most people will see and, well, frankly, feel the biggest difference. Now, the Magista Obra 2 DF Elites here are made with a one-piece Flyknit upper that also features the dynamic fit collar, also made out of Flyknit, by the way, and then there's a foam liner on the inside of the boot that gives you a very padded and really soft, more or less slipper-like sensation. And once the upper is broken in, it takes a bit of time, but once it softens up, it is very, very comfortable, actually extremely comfortable, but it also means that the Magista feels a little on the chunky side. The Phantom Vision, on the other hand, is made out of three major components. First, the quad fit mesh that sits on the inside of the boot and holds your foot well and securely in place in the midfoot. Then, of course, there is the dynamic fit collar that's connected to the quad fit and which acts as an entry tube to really guide your foot in and sit well and securely in place in said quad fit. There's of course also the ghost laces that sits on top of the quad fit and the dynamic fit collar, and then we have the outer Flyknit shell. Now, the cool thing about these three major components is that they are all very, very soft and extremely pliable, which means that the Phantom Visions basically feel broken in from the second you take them out of the box. Except, sadly, for the toe box, where the quad fit actually gave me a little bit of a squeezing tight sensation around my toes, which meant that I personally needed a little bit of braking time and a little bit more than actually I expected. Now, I have heard of people who experience no braking time whatsoever in the Visions, which is fantastic, but for me, I just needed that little bit of time for them to feel perfect. In other words, the Magista is thicker, it's more plush, and it's also a little more evident that you actually have a boot on your foot when you're wearing this bad boy, whereas the Phantom Visions, on the other hand, well, it's really clearly evident that there's a solid, locked-in sensation in the midfoot, but then you get a more or less completely free sensation in every other area. And that also goes for the dynamic fit collar, the ankle sock, if you will, which is less evident and you feel it less compared to the Magistas, where there's simply not this, should we say, compressed sensation around your ankle bone. Now, I really like the fact that it's gone. I didn't need it on the dynamic fit collar, but if you like that sensation, well, you're not gonna get it on the Phantom Visions because the sock is simply just more flaccid. It's just softer, basically. Now, width-wise, the boots are built on the same last, GF13 last that's used by Nike on a lot of boots, which means that both are relatively wide. Now, the Phantom Visions feel a little tighter around the midfoot, again because the quad fit mesh is hugging your foot so tightly. And actually, the quad fit mesh also is a factor when it comes to the length, because seeing that it is so strong, it allowed Nike to take out some of the foam inner linings that is usually used to give the boots some structural integrity, but they didn't need that, which means that they have fewer layers and thus more, space inside of the boot. And that means that for me at least, the Phantom Visions run a quarter of the size long compared to the Magista. So just keep that in mind. The touch on the ball is also pretty different. Here the Magista has a very soft, extremely padded and rather elegant touch and feel on the ball because of not only the foam inner liner, but also because of these here 3D vacuum pressed knitted bumps that are basically full of empty space. And the Phantom Vision kind of stands in stark contrast to that because, as I mentioned, Nike really used the quad fit to cut down on the inner lining, which means that you have a much more sharp and crisp sensation on the ball in the Phantom Visions compared to the Magistas. But in some way, they still maintain a nice elegant to the touch as well. Of course, the striking surface is a bit more clean and uninterrupted, and you also get a more grippy and tacky sensation on the ball in the Phantom Vision because of this here micro-textured silicone coating. So it kind of depends on what kind of touch you prefer. But for me, I would take the Phantom Vision every single day of the week. Now, speaking of, the Outsole. Both boots are built to help your agile, direction-changing game. And the Magista is made with a relatively stiff outsole and these half-moon-shaped semi-conical studs to really aid in your rotational maneuverability. Now the Phantom Vision, on the other hand, is built with a very soft and flexible midfoot and then a slightly more aggressive stud pattern. And that means that the Magista simply feels more, should we say, all-round, but it's also more solid and more stable in its movement, whereas the Phantom Visions here, well, it feels more agile. It feels like it's moving more with your foot. With that said, I like a bit of stability and solidity in the midfoot of the Phantom Visions, but you can watch my review if you want to hear more about that. And also, I need to say that if you're running at full speed, you want to change direction, the Phantoms are a lot more aggressive simply because the 3 Torv studs really come to their right as they dig into the ground and really help you change direction on the spot without having to plant your entire foot to connect studs in the ground. So the Magista is perhaps more comfortable, while this performs a little bit better. Let's look at the facts for Magista Obra. It weighs 216 grams with a wide and comfortable fit and a striking that's padded and grippy. The touch gives you 3D texturing and ACC, and the sole plate is stiff with semi-conical studs. But the boot needs a bit of braking time and is a little clumsy. The price is €290, and in the end, it's a lovely comfortable boot that's great if you love a padded touch. The Phantom Vision, on the other hand, weighs 207 grams, with a fit that's soft and personal and offers great midfoot lockdown. The striking is true distractionless and solid, with a touch that's grippy, clean and sharp. On the sole plate, you get a flexible and soft sensation with multi-shaped studs. But the boots are a bit tight at first and lacks heel lockdown. The price is €270, and in the end, it's an amazing boot on the ball. It's extremely comfortable and is a great all-rounder. So, which is the better football boot? Well, for me, it's not really a question. Listen, guys, it's all about the Phantom Visions. They're more comfortable, they feel a lot better on the ball, and, flexible midfoot aside, it just feels like a more refined, more rounded football boot. So I actually like it a lot. But what about you guys? Do you mourn the loss of the Magista, or are you excited to awaken the Phantom and jump into the Visions? Well, as always, you should let me know in the comment section right down below. And if you want to join Team Phantom, you can do so and buy it already over at unisportlife.com if you click the link right over there. Now also, of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button with the bell notification on so you can actually see all our videos the moment they drop. And finally, don't forget to go check out my review of the Phantom Visions by clicking right down here. So I'll see you in that video. Signing off. Cheerio.